Portland homeowner threatens to sue the city of Portland over homeless camps, claiming he can't sell his house and leave. Kind of feels like everybody was, prior to the pandemic, everybody was okay with the homeless. They weren't really hurting anybody. They weren't impacting anybody. But now that they've exploded in numbers since the pandemic and during the pandemic, people are realizing, oh, hey, this does, I can't sell my house. That sucks. I need to sue somebody. I'm going to sue the city of Portland. Prior to the pandemic, if you would have said, do a massive sweep, that would have been just terrible. That would have been a massive sin in most of these liberal cities. And now you're recognizing our mayor in Seattle has gone ham on the sweeps. It's just playing the whack-a-mole game. He's just moving people around. But what it does is it does clean up the city from the standpoint of the downtown core gets a little bit better. The outer lying areas, they get more homeless folks. So they get rampaged a little bit more. But at least your downtown core, where so much of your tax base comes from, is a little bit cleaner. In the city of Portland, that has not happened because there's so many encampments around, and I think that the city just doesn't have enough cops, doesn't have the resources. My understanding is the downtown core has gotten better, but it's not great. So now you're dealing with it in the burbs, right? That's where this is. This is not only is this in the burbs, but this is basically on a freeway. And so many of the encampments have gone to the freeway because that is Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT. We've got WashDOT here in Washington State. But when you're on that land, then you've probably got a longer fuse to stay there because Oregon Department of Transportation has to contract with the city and whomever they contract with for homeless removal. And so you've just got this, incredibly messy situation. Nothing is going to get fixed anytime soon. It's just not. You created the problem over the many, many years. It's going to take many years to fix it. And just creating housing isn't going to do it. You got to put people into places where they can get the addiction services and mental health that they need. A Portland man KATU spoke with more than a year ago is now threatening to sue over homeless camps near his property. Chris Piercy is trying to sell his house, but he says he's trapped by the tents nearby. Piercy had July 7th circled on his calendar. It's when Portland's new daytime camping ban took effect. Let you guys read the story. How about that? It breaks my heart that the city keeps giving these empty promises, said Piercy. On the 7th, there was supposed to be new action. No, a new ordinance went in, but nobody said that they're going to sweep all these encampments. Nobody promised that. Nobody promised, okay, on the 7th, we're going to really hammer down and get this squared away. That wasn't the deal. You just put a new ordinance in place saying, okay, no camping here, no camping there. You got to move your encampment between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Ordinances that, should have been there already. Just, and had they not just allowed people to live wherever willy-nilly and do drugs willy-nilly wherever and sell stolen goods willy-nilly wherever, you wouldn't have as much of a problem. Other cities do not have this problem to this extent. I think there's a lot of homelessness out there because folks have, fallen through that last system of cracks where affordability has become a real issue. But the vast majority of what I see, people falling prey to drug addiction because the drugs are so cheap and they're so plentiful and it's so easy to get that if they were on the cusp before, and it's maybe just $300 or $500 a month is what they needed to keep staying in their home, they're spending that on drugs. That's a slippery slope, right? So on the 7th of July, the new ordinance put in place. Doesn't mean anything's going to happen. If you got your house in the market, good luck with that, especially if you got homeless nearby, right? The same day he put his North Portland home on the market, July 7th, Piercy says nothing in the neighborhood has changed. Well, ask one simple question. Why would it? What's going to make it change? What, a date on a calendar doesn't really do anything. And City of Portland does not have the resources to, go through and clear out every encampment. The minute they clear out an encampment, those folks just move on down the road, right? It's the whack-a-mole game. We all know it's being played. So until you really drop the hammer and start putting some people in jail and wherever else you can, not much is going to change. And the resources that Oregon in general has available to them are minimal at best. They have some of the worst ability to put people in addiction services and also mental health care. Portland in Oregon, one of the worst states in the United States. So why would this situation change overnight? Just because you had your house in the market? I'm not trying to be a hard ass or a Debbie Downer, but we're dealing with some realism here that, okay, so now I can't sell my house. I'm going to sue the city to force them to buy my house. That ain't happening either. The city seems to be making these promises and then immediately sitting on their hands saying, well, maybe next time. That's what it feels like. It feels like they keep baiting and switching everyone involved in the community. I think they're trying to figure out a long-term process by which they can enforce the no camping ban. But when you've got somewhere 700-800 encampments in the city, that's encampments with more than one tent, right? Then, you've only got resources to do so much. Then your host, right? Your host. And that's the situation Portland's in. So if you got a house on the market, you've got that external obsolescence, meaning you've got that form of depreciation, because nobody wants to live in proximity to a homeless encampment, right? Nobody. People do not go, you know what? That house is really similar to this other house. I'll take the one by the encampment. Yeah, for the same price. I want to help out those poor souls. It's like, that's not a thing. That does not happen. The law of substitution says if you can get something for equal value and it's got more amenities or whatever, you're going to buy that. You're not going to buy the one, if you got a substitute that's slightly better, it's all pretty much the same, but it's, maybe it's slightly cheaper, or it's the same price, but it doesn't have the homeless encampment influence. Buyers are going to go with that, right? They're just going to go with that. The listing for Piercy's bungalow does well, meaning it gets lots of traction online. That's one of the fallacies of Zillow and the Zestimate. They don't have the ability to factor in proximity to an encampment. They don't have the ability to factor in proximity to a freeway. So that's why your Zestimates are so inaccurate. And they're not even really meant to be a number to take, to the bank. You can't. No lender lends on a Zestimate. So when everybody talks about, well, Zillow says, just realize that is a starting point in a conversation that should be identified as, hey, this doesn't mean a damn thing, but Zillow says my house is worth this. And then you get the conversation going. All right, well, it might be off by a couple $100,000. They say right on the Zestimate, this could be a range of 15% in either direction, meaning for this guy's house, which is on the market at $550,000, that's a big swing. It's a big swing. Could be either over or under as well, right? So let's take a quick peek at the video here. Let's see what our gentleman has to say. Here we go.
Trapped by the tents nearby.
It breaks my heart that the city keeps giving these empty promises. The 7th, they were supposed to be new action.
July 7th, Chris Piercy was counting on that date when the city of Portland's new daytime camping ban kicked in. The same day he put his North Portland home on the market. But Piercy says nothing in the neighborhood has changed.
And the city seems to be making these promises and then immediately sitting on their hands saying, well, maybe next time. That's what it feels like. It feels like they keep bait and switching everybody involved in the community.
The listing for Piercy's bungalow does well. Lots of people are saving it. But when they drive by, it's a different story. He lives just off I-5, where tents line the freeway, and the feedback has been rough. This showing was canceled at the last minute. The buyer's agent sending a message saying they were no longer interested because they saw homeless people sitting in a car, so they're going to pass. This past weekend, no one showed up for Piercy's open house.
And I'm in a situation where I'm not selling because, I want to leave Portland. I'm selling for a family emergency that I need to take care of my child. And so now I'm stuck. If I don't sell, it could actually really detrimentally hurt my life. So I don't know if I need at this point to sue the city of Portland and make them buy my house because they won't take an action on actually keeping the city, safe and everyone's safe, both housed and unhoused.
Would you seriously consider that?
Oh, absolutely.
I think the more people get engaged, whether it's through lawsuits or other actions, I think the better critical mass will have to deal with it.
Attorney Jeff Merrick specializes in nuisance lawsuits. He couldn't talk specifically about Piercy's situation, but says if someone is not maintaining their property, private or public, and it's impacting your quality of life, your property value, you have rights.
If you have the evidence to support that you've got a real nuisance and it's really causing you problems, then go to small claims court and deal with it there. You don't even need a lawyer.
So the video goes on to identify this is on the encampment is typically on Oregon Department of Transportation land, which it contracts with the city of Portland, and they contract with the homeless, removal party, one of their departments. So you got a lot of moving parts. But the bottom line is that more and more people have been moving onto the freeway because it's Oregon Department of Transportation land, and they know that their chances of staying there at that encampment site, because it's not city-owned land, is far greater. And so that's what they're doing in massive numbers. So this guy is fighting a huge uphill battle that has been in the works for literally years. And what gets me is that all of a sudden people, when it comes down to, it's all great if it's out there. If it's not happening to them directly, they're okay with it. They're like, those poor people, they need a place to live. Just let them camp wherever. Until it becomes critical for you to sell your home, all of a sudden you're outraged that the city isn't doing anything. Well, this didn't happen overnight. So you're going to have to deal with this situation. Maybe this homeless encampment gets swept out and you get the sale on your home. That would be best case scenario. More than likely, you're going to have to drop that price significantly. You're going to have to discount it to the point where some buyer goes, you know what? I'm going to take a run at that house because eventually they're going to do something about this encampment. Or maybe somebody else just doesn't mind living with gunshots outside their home, doesn't mind, predators living across the street, doesn't mind garbage lining their street, doesn't mind gunshots at night, doesn't mind their home being robbed, doesn't mind, the residents of said community being assaulted. Some people just don't mind that at all. But home buyers, if you're spending over $500,000, you're going to mind that, right? You're going to basically state, nah, I don't think so. So the listing for Percy's home does well. Lots of people are saving it, but when they drive by, it's a different story. Shocking, right? He lives off I-5 where tents line the freeway, and the feedback has been rough. Percy showed KATU a message alerting him that prospective buyers canceled the showing. It said that they were no longer interested because they saw homeless people sitting in a car, so they were going to pass. Yeah, people don't want to buy it with this influence. And now when it's actually impacting people who at one time probably said, don't sweep them out, they're fine. So when it impacts them, that's when they're up in arms. That's a lot of what I see, right? We're tolerant until we're not, right? And Portland has been so tolerant, Seattle has been so tolerant that there's no easy way. LA, San Fran, so tolerant. There's no easy way to work your way out of this one. It's going to take years. Because what are you going to do? You're going to round them all up and put them on an island? That's what you guys want. That's what you guys always want me to say, right? Stick them on an island. It's Escape from New York Times. Stick them on an island. Okay. All right. Which one? Where? You got to keep it close to the drugs because otherwise they're just not going to go to the island, right? Force them, make them go. We're not making anybody do anything in the cities that have massive homeless and, encampment problems. That's not how they got there. You know what I mean? This past weekend, no one showed up for Percy's open house. Okay. It's not necessarily because of the homeless encampment though. That's probably didn't help it, right? But you got a situation where it's time of year. You're after the 4th of July. You've got, a lot of folks don't want to get into a car when it's over 90 degrees and run around and look at houses. And, it's summertime. People are on vacations. It's a slower time of the year for real estate. Summit Properties Northwest slows down typically every summer because everybody's out enjoying what fleeting days of sunshine that we do have. And they're not either sitting inside with their real estate agent looking at listings on the computer, or they're not in their car driving around looking. So, you've got a lot of obstacles this time of year to overcome. And if you throw one more in there, which has external obsolescence, hey, this house is near the freeway, get freeway noise, freeway pollution, and it's got just loaded up with homeless. You're going to have to discount that bad boy. I'm in a situation because I'm not selling because, he talks about his family emergency to take care of his kid. I get that. Hey, you want out. But what you're going to have to do, and hopefully your real estate agent is recommending that you drop that price to the point. Every 2 weeks, you do a massive drop, whatever that might be, whatever you can stomach. And every 2 weeks, you do that every 10 days, maybe. Yeah, but then I'm going to look like I'm desperate. Well, are you desperate enough to sell the house? That's the question. And we'll see, right? How much does that price drop by? It's on the market for $550. I say drop it under $500, get it to $499.9, see what the interest is there, and then either decide, all right, we're going to keep doing the wax, we're going to keep doing the cuts, or we take it off the market. I'm going to figure out another solution. That's a lot of what you've got going on right now, right? So Jeff Merck, an attorney who specializes in nuisance lawsuits, I think the more people get engaged, whether it's through lawsuits or other actions, I think the better the critical mass will have to deal with it, said Merrick. I think people should sue the city because the city has been derelict in their duty. All cities have that have just allowed people to live willy-nilly wherever. That's not a thing. But remember, the residents that voted in the politicians who have just looked the other way as all this is happening and continue to ignore it, they got voted in by said residents that are now pissed off they can't sell their home. So are you coming or going? What are you doing, right? Merrick couldn't talk about the specifics of the Piercy situation. If you have evidence to support that you got a real nuisance and it's really causing you problems, then go to small claims court and deal with it there. You don't even need a lawyer, said Merrick. But you are talking with this case, with this real estate case, you are talking about thousands of, could be $100,000 in value, not the threshold of small claims court, right? Small claims court is designed to be smaller grievances that people can kind of take care of on their own. You're talking about a massive amount of money, financial loss. You're going to need to go through a real lawsuit to do that, meaning you're going to have to hire attorneys, pay them up front. There's no guarantee that you win. You might lose. You might have to pay for the other side's attorney's fees. Could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, could be into the millions of dollars. So you're going to do that if you got a kid with a medical emergency? No, you're not. You're just simply not, right? You're simply not. Are you going to get an attorney to come on and, do it contingent on their fee? Their fee is contingent on getting a winning verdict? No, probably not, because that lawsuit it's a lawsuit that because you don't like it, you want it fixed. Remember, citizens of Portland voted this stuff in time after time after time with whom they used their vote for, the politicians they used their vote for. When you've got nut jobs on the city council, and Portland just had some crazy nut jobs. I mean, people who just can't even take care of their own credit card bills, right? You know who I'm talking about. They've got the resources. They've got a huge ODOT army. They've got the National Guard, said Merrick. They owe that duty as every property owner does to maintain their own property. You're talking about doing sweeps, right? Okay, where are you going to put the people? Where are you going to put the thousands of people? You don't have resources for like a dozen people going into treatment right now. State of Washington doesn't either. It's always this, well, there's one bed available over here, and getting these people the help that they need. I mean, it's not happening anytime soon. It's only been 12 days since Chris Piercy listed his house. He might seem impatient, but he says he's been here before, stuck with his fingers crossed, hoping for the best. Come up with a plan. Just stop throwing things at the wall and hoping for something sticks, said Piercy. Get people help. They need help. They need housing. Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. Because you got people whacked out of their minds on drugs that were crazy before. Now you got the double factor, drugs and they're insane. Where are you going to put them? We've already stated that basically there's no room at the inn, right? Where are you going to put them? You going to put them in jail? That's what Washington State is doing right now. And then taxpayers are spending thousands of dollars because there's a law in the books that every day that goes by, that person who's being denied their right to have a judge evaluate them for their mental condition relative to their crime, we pay them, what is it, $250 a day, something like that. And, we've had people get paid thousands and thousands of dollars. It doesn't go directly to them. It goes to basically a guardian, some kind of person that has a responsibility, because these are people with mental problems. They're already, they're up on charges, and the state is saying, we need to get you evaluated. Sometimes they wait months and months and months and months and months. So saying, get people help, they need housing. You can say it all day long and you can circle that date on your calendar. But unless the city's got the resources or ODOT's got the resources to do something about it, it's just simply talk. It's just simply talk. And playing the whack-a-mole game. All right, we're going to move them from here. They're going to squirt to over here. Boop. Then they come back. Unless you're doing some major behavioral and pushing people into situations where they have to get help, which nobody is doing, then this is what you get. This is, unfortunately, this is what you get. This is your new reality. Your new reality is you're going to probably have to discount that house heavily to get that bad boy sold, because everything will sell at a price. It's a matter of what that price is. Everything has a price. Sometimes it might be $1, right? But there's some value to it. And if there's no value, then you don't worry about it because it's got no value. You might have sentimental value. This guy is saying that his house has economic value, right? Big difference, but he can't sell it. Well, you're also in an interest rate environment near 7%, right? That doesn't help things because, a couple of years ago, we were way, way less than that. Way less than that. And that impacts the ability of borrowers at the $550,000 price range heavily, much more so than the $1 million price point, because people in the $1 million price range can afford more, period. People at 550 might be scratching to get into 550. So interest rates going from 2.75%, maybe 3%, up to 7+% now, massively, the wrong direction payment wise. But then you throw on top of that freeway proximity. And I'm not talking, this is super convenient to get on the freeway. I'm talking about the house having environmental issues, having pollution issues, having noise pollution. And, you throw in encampments on top of that. And people are like, no, I don't think so. I'm going to go to a similar home that's priced at the same point that doesn't have the external influence, right? I want both the housed and unhoused to all be safe and be happy and be able to live in harmony in a way that ensures that everyone is safe and not living in their own filth, said Piercy. I agree. The big question is, how are you going to do that? What are you going to do? You guys always say, take them all, round them up, and put them on an island. All right. What island? I'm listening. You know what I mean? No, I'm kind of jesting, but it's so true. What are you going to do with all these whacked out drug addicts? Where are you going to put them? Where are you going to put them? All the commercial buildings? All right. I like to see that. I'm game. I'm always game for something exciting. All right. We're going to take 125,000 unhoused individuals. They're mostly fine. And we're going to strew them all throughout San Francisco in the vacant office space, which is vacant to the tune of 23 million square feet. It could house 180,000 workers. is how much vacant space you have right now in San Fran. That's incredible. Put all the homeless there. We'll just see how it goes. I'm sure it's fine. You know, San Francisco is a sanctuary city. It'll be fine. You know, sanctuary for drug addicts and thieves and robbers and rapists. I mean, who doesn't want that in their community, right? San Fran will take it. They'll take it. I mean, they you know, they're good, you know, they're good to their fellow human being that way. Sanctuary, you betcha. You come our direction. Put you up on the 13th floor of the Salesforce building. See how that goes. So everybody wants everybody to live happily ever after. Nobody has a game plan, and they bitch when they can't sell their own home. That's bottom line here, right? Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So drop that price, get that bad boy moved, move on with your life. Don't buy a home in an area that, you know, could go encampment. I guess that's another big guessing game, isn't it? I don't remember those tents being here because they weren't. They just moved in. So, you know, you're buying a house in that type of environment, specifically in Seattle. You got to be careful about what you're getting into because some of this stuff, I mean, it's sketchy. You're dealing with people who steal for a living and then just do drugs. You know, not a perfect combination for your next door neighbor, right? Okay. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I will catch up with you on the next one. Make sure that you stay reasonable. Reasonable. It's a thing. #reasonable. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch up on the next one. Bye for now.